Fun Facts presents the 1955 Lincoln Futura. Was this a 50s classic car? It certainly was a concept car back in 1955. Only have a few photos, but let's get started now. Some enthusiasts say that the Lincoln Futura was the most beautiful, most successful, and the most dramatic Lincoln concept vehicle that ever graced the circuit. The original Batmobile, the ultimate car that struck awe in countless fans for decades, was originally a concept dubbed the Lincoln Futura. Designed by the Lincoln division of Ford Motor Company, the Futura was constructed entirely by hand in Turin, Italy, for an extreme $250,000. Ghia famed for having the best paying beaters in the world. And at that time, the Futura, the Ghia craftsmen were famous for their workmanship and preferred to work in metal over fiberglass. Much like many other concepts, the Futura was never actually put into production. The Lincoln Futura made its official debut on an auto show circuit in 1955. Even the comparison to other eccentric and exotic vehicles in the 1950s, the Futura's design style was considered extreme and even impractical. Unlike other concepts of that day, the Futura was fully operable and featured a complete powertrain. The concept featured double clear plastic canopy tops, huge outward canted tail fins on both ends of the car, and exaggerated hood lights with headlight pods, with a chassis that came directly from the Lincoln Mark II. The Futura was powered by a 368 cubic inch Lincoln engine and powertrain. As a show vehicle, the Futura was a tremendous success and was well received by excited public that loved the futuristic machine. The Futura's headlights and tail fins were used on production Lincolns for the 1956 and 57 models, though in much less loud ways. This exciting car was also released as a model kit and a toy. Lincoln Mercury's division chief stylist from 1945 until 1955, Bill Schmidt, was the ultimate brains behind the design of the Futura. Schmidt was also responsible for updating the 50 and 51 Lincoln models, as also the design of the 52 Lincoln, the 53 Lincoln XL 500 concept vehicle, and the 56 Lincoln. In 1940, Schmidt received his initial training at the Old Ford Trade School before going to work in the Ford Styling Studio in 1942. Though he wasn't lead of the design team, Schmidt was an amazing stylist whose skill was apparent in futuristic and prolific styling of the Futura. Responsible for the initial design behind it and the concept of the Futura, Schmidt had assistance from other engineers and stylists, but he had the distinct pleasure of seeing his project to completion. Schmidt's conceptual design of the Futura was inspired by the Bahamas vacation, a run-in with a shark, tropical sea life, and the shimmer of underwater fish. The Mako shark and the manta ray get practical credit for the 1955 Lincoln Futura influence as well. Bill Mitchell, Harley Earl's right-hand man, was also went with the Schmidt and gained inspiration for the Corvette XP 755 Shark concept vehicle and the production of the '63 Corvette Stingray. The vacation had a hermetic effect on Schmidt and Mitchell and on the auto history in general. Schmidt sketched several renderings initially, since the design center budget allocated 10% of its finances for the design of this project. Schmidt put together a design team along with engineers to ensure that the design would actually be something that could be constructed. John Niger carried out body development of the Futura while the engineering was taken care of by Martin Regtico. The 20 years following World War II were a craze of modern jet aircraft inspiration for vehicles, and the Futura was no exception. All of the futuristic innovations of the Futura, the air intakes at the front of the rear fins, the interior, the rear end treatment, the front and rear fins, the ventilation system, and the grille were heavily based on America's love affairs with aircrafts. Pearlescent frost blue white was the brand new color painted on the Futura in Schmidt's attempts to capture the iridescence of the fish he had viewed in the Caribbean. This brilliant color was created by Gia, who ground and pulverized the scales of thousands of fish to mix into the paint color. Wow. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. So that's where we get the metal flake, I guess. Most concepts discreetly disappear following their debut, but not the Futura. A much more thrilling future was in store for the concept. One of the great auto customizers, George Barris, purchased the Futura concept, and since the car had never been titled and could not be insured, it remained parked behind its owner's shop for several years. The Futura was also allowed to fall into disrepair, and many would have assumed that the story ended here. Not so for the Lincoln Futura. Barris was asked again to design a theme vehicle in 1966 for what became the Batman TV series, and he contracted styling Dean Jeffries to actually build the vehicle for the show. Starting with a 1959 Cadillac, Jeffries started on the design and the original fabrication for the Batmobile. The studio demanded something faster than that, and it was more than Jeffries could deliver, so he sent the project back to Barris. Barris used Jeffries' initial vehicle, but he also had a feeling about the Futura due to its unique wing shape that made it a great beginning for the creation of the Batmobile. Bill Chessenberry, or Cushenberry, was responsible for all metal and modifications of the Batmobile. 5 more corresponding models were constructed for the show circuit. The actual model for filming of the Batman series swapped out the Lincoln frame and the engine with the 1966 Ford Galaxy parts. The Futura concept lives on always as the Batmobile was the banal 60s TV version of the Batman saga. The actual Batmobile is a much better known in the history books than the Futura, which stings cars enthusiasts. Okay, well, if you found yourself this far into the video, we'd certainly like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch the video. And if you liked our video, please give us a thumbs up, as it helps our channel. And if you like our channel, please subscribe, because we'll be doing all the concept cars and cars from the 50s, sports cars from the 60s, the muscle cars. We'll be doing future hybrid cars and supercars and race cars and sports cars and autoramas and hot rods. So a little bit of everything for everybody. And we hope to see you when we upload our next video. Thank you, and always, always, always take good care.